It's time for another episode of True Ghost Stories. I'm Dave Mace, your host for the Outside the Veil podcast, and I'm happy to welcome you to our 11th episode. I'm going to divert a little bit from my normal format. I want to share with you a true and sad story that isn't directly about ghosts. Somewhere between the two true events lies a long-told story of ghosts. Some say it's folklore, others say it's true, and even claim to have personal experiences. I'll let you decide that. It was the 119th anniversary of the Bostian Bridge accident near Statesville, North Carolina. Nearly a dozen amateur ghost hunters gathered on the railroad tracks to see if they could hear and see something related to the historical event itself. Most of the group was from outside of the area. Two of the ghost hunters were from Charlotte. Christopher Kaiser and his girlfriend had made the trek to experience the local legend. They had no idea that they were about to add to the great tragedy's history. It was August 28th, 2010, sometime after 2 a.m. The group of ghost hunters had ventured out onto the 300-foot long trestle built over a 40-foot deep ravine. It was then that one of the group thought they heard something, a rumble, and then a light came into view. It was like an eye sweeping back and forth with bright white light. When the horn sounded, everyone in the group knew they were in trouble. Some of the group began running as soon as they heard the rumble. Few were like deer in the headlights, temporarily frozen. Within seconds, all of them were running. They had 150 feet of treacherous track and rail to negotiate in the dark as the freight train bore down on them. The train's engineer saw the group up ahead and understood immediately that there was a potential disaster just seconds away. He applied the brakes and shut off the power to the huge metal wheels, but he knew it was out of his hands. It takes a long time to stop a 40-mile-an-hour freight train. The train was almost upon them as the group neared the end of the bridge. Christopher and his girlfriend were at the rear of the pack and could hear the squeal and moan of the brakes and feel the train breathing and bellowing at their backs. Safety was still too far away, and Christopher made a decision. He turned and shoved his girlfriend over the side, causing her to fall into the darkness. As he did, he yelled, "I love you!" His lifeless body was found at the bottom of the ravine. His girlfriend was injured but survived. What would cause a group of young adults to venture out onto a railroad trestle at 2 a.m.? Well, there's a legend that they were investigating. Actually, the legend is attached to real-life history. On August 27th, 1891, a westbound passenger train headed to Asheville made its way to the same bridge. It was known as the Fast Mail Train, and as it crossed the bridge, something went wrong, and the train jumped the tracks. When a train comes off the tracks, it's never a good thing, but when it happens over a ravine, it's a catastrophe. Hugh K. Lanster was a baggage master, and this would be his last trip. He had just received his gold watch for 30 years of service. In fact, several passengers remember seeing Hugh checking his watch, and then he asked several passengers what time they had. He knew his watch was off and was starting to set the correct time when the train shifted. Seconds later, a horrific sound of tearing metal and breaking timbers signaled the death of the heaving beast as it crumpled upon itself. and then hurled cars one by one into the inky night. The carnage was unbelievable. Locals arrived quickly, awakened by the monstrous sounds that shattered the night. What they found was indescribable. Broken and twisted train cars, luggage and clothing strewn about and hanging from tree limbs. And then there were the bodies. 20 people were found dead, scattered about the devastation. 9 others were seriously injured, and another 20 sustained bruises and abrasions. All of the passengers that had been asleep in the sleeper car were dead. A grand jury investigated the incident and determined that someone had intentionally removed numerous spikes from the rails, resulting in the tragic event. The baggage master was one of those found dead in the ravine. The time on his watch was just after 3 a.m. He never got to collect one day's worth of pension. A year later, on August 27th, a group of men were walking in the area and heard a terrible crash and commotion coming from the bridge. With the last train wreck still fresh in their memories, they rushed to the bridge to help. As they neared the area, they came across a man in railroad attire, and as they got closer, they noticed he did not appear to be in any distress. He nonchalantly reached into his breast pocket, pulled out a gold watch, and examined it calmly and asked the men if they had the correct time. They assumed the man was a survivor from a new wreck and probably in shock. They pushed past him and hurried to the bridge. Upon arrival, they were met with deafening silence. There had been no train wreck. The bridge was intact, and there was no visible cause for the loud crashes they all heard. They remembered the man with the watch and backtracked to find him, but he was nowhere to be found. He had just vanished. There are people that live in the area today that say they've heard the terrifying sounds of the train being derailed upon Bostian Bridge. There are others who've lived in the areas for years and have never heard a thing. Perhaps some people are tuned into the paranormal more than others, or maybe some people are just more imaginative than others. What draws us to seek out ghosts and mysteries? I don't have an answer for you, but I do know this. Ghost hunting and paranormal investigations can be fun and rewarding. However, as this story illustrates, it's not without its dangers. While many fear the ghosts they seek, it may be the things that are more solid that present the biggest dangers. For all my paranormal friends out there, please be careful. You'll get to the other side soon enough, but you don't want to hasten your journey. All of the facts in this story were obtained from various news articles, including CNN and the Los Angeles Herald from 1891. My condolences go out to Christopher's family and friends and loved ones, and I hope his passing serves as a reminder to those willing to trespass or take unnecessary risks in the name of ghost hunting. I want to thank you for listening. Please check back often, and I will keep doing my best to bring you entertaining and sometimes a little spooky, but always true ghost stories. Until next time, I'll be waiting here for you outside the veil.